Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this matchup just because like you just don't get to see home cooking like this very often. Like it makes sense. All the usual suspect, it makes sense, but the little text here and there, here and there, here and there shows like okay, the players thought about every single matchup, right? I need this for that. I need this for that, and it's all come together on this amazing run right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing it in action and how this matchup kind of plays out. The cornerstone, we all know what it does. It's just there for hitting it, but it's honestly, I don't think it even potentially comes to this matchup. It doesn't really do much here, just looking at it. But you know, Ting Lu honestly isn't the worst thing here, especially with the Terra Fairy. You just kind of need to do a little bit of mitigation while you kind of do your thing. So I wouldn't be surprised if you could see Zama, Kali, Ting Lu, and Chen Pao potentially that fourth slot, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, Tinglu actually has a lot of value in this matchup, just as a good Pokemon into Miraidon and potentially Zamazenta. I mean, you don't want it taking body presses, so I mean, like if you have to terrestrialize it, making it's a little awkward if you have to terrestrialize it. But you mentioned Ogerpon Cornerstone. I would argue that Ogerpon Cornerstone does have a bit of value in this matchup, just because look at Ivy Cudgel and then look at the opposing team. Ivy Cudgel has the potential to do a lot of work into the non-restricted Pokemon, and also Follow Me could be very valuable because, this is a Miraidon that is Choice Scarf, so if it locks itself potentially into a single target move, you have the ability to redirect that if it's potentially a threat to something like the Zamazenta or the Calyrex Shadow Rider in the end game here. But yeah, Ting Lu, as you said, I think is going to be pretty valuable in this matchup to slow down potentially something like the Volcarona and, potentially also the Miraidon too. So Ting Lu, unfortunately, I don't think Dragonite doesn't really get to do much here because, it's got a lot of very defensive Pokemon that it's going to have to fling E-Speeds into, and also like a Zamazenta. Then you have to worry about Flame Body on Volcarona. But what I'm most interested in this matchup in particular is the speed interactions with Chen Pao. Like, I don't know if these Chen Pao are going to speed tie, or if they're going to be like, one's going to be bulky and the other one's not going to be bulky, if they're going to like be at each other's throats the entire game. I don't know. But speaking of Ting Lu, we're going to see it in the lead position with Zamazenta, as Mava going to be leading with Miraidon and Zamazenta.
Yeah, and this is that interesting thing you literally mentioned, where it's like you don't want to Terra Ting Lu, but you don't want to eat body presses, so it's almost like this turn potentially forces that, unless you have a better switch in here, because Zama can go for Zama, but like we really want to just target around. Each dog is going to go for the other, and we do see the Terra Fairy did come out, which honestly it does make sense because you were potentially getting Oko that turn, and Ting Lu able to eat that up no problem, as we do see Sand Tomb comes in and does a critical hit. So now all of a sudden Miraidon just like tick tick tick, a lot of damage, already almost at 50% HP.
Yeah, Miraidon, as you said, almost being on a timer, but with the critical hit, it's not even almost like a timer anymore. It's almost like Ting Lu just immediately set up the KO there.
Yeah.
So Ting Lu, like, Sandtube's a pretty weak move, so, like, the fact that it's able to do half to Miraidon, like, that's already body press range. So, the terrestrialization on the opposing side coming out for the Zamazenta, but Miraidon thankfully able to switch out of Sandtube thanks to the Volt switch. So good move lock in there, as the body press going to be traded between the two Zamazenta. One going to be doing a lot more damage to the other one, considering it's still weak to it, but now another Sand Tomb. Unfortunately for this Zamazenta, does not have a move that can forcibly switch it out here, so going to be stuck. This Zamazenta will now be on a timer. Going to be taking damage every single turn, but now Volcarona comes in as a pretty good Pokemon to have here, but I mean, it's going to have to start setting up, and it looks like it's going to be doing just that on this turn.
Yeah, but this is a potential Sand Tomb going right into that slot, and it's once again, you're just going to continue to just, hey, I'm going to take residuals, and here comes Calyrex. Now, granted, the Volcarona is pretty decently, at least you have some survivability, you can just like at least move before everybody else, but still, once again, you're kind of in a interesting spot, because now it's like, oh my gosh, this Ting Lu just continue to just sit here and sit here and sit here. So the question is, can Astterio take advantage of this and get enough damage done to the rest of the Pokemon while this Volcarona slowly start to chip away at it?
Yeah, this Volcarona doesn't have Giga Drain, so it doesn't have the ability to recover its HP, so potentially you just click the Protect button here, bait out the Wide Guard, and just let Zamazenta go down to Sand Tomb. But Ting Lu does have Stomping Tantrum, does have a way to hit Volcarona on the physical side, doing a good amount of damage here, and Volcarona's HP just continuing to tick down. You kind of have to wonder if even just getting one Struggle Bug here is even going to matter at the end of the day, but I mean, the Vessel of Ruin does impact the Calyrex as well, so Astral Barrage after a Struggle Bug and with Vessel of Ruin, probably not going to be doing a lot of damage here. And I think we were talking a little bit earlier in the beginning of the game, like how terrestrializing Tinglu is a little bit awkward because then you make yourself able to be hit by Miraidon. I mean, the Vessel of Ruin, and this is a Choice Scarf Miraidon too, so it's not getting any sort of damage multiplier outside of the Electric Terrain. Electric Terrain is also going to go away in one turn, so if Miraidon finds itself trapped on the field with this Tinglu, with just 2 Pokemon left, its damage output is going to decrease dramatically in the end game. So we're going to have to see how much Volcarona is able to get mileage out of this Quiver Dance as Volt Switch goes into the Calyrex, does a good chunk of damage as Chen Pao comes out. Maybe bad news for Volcarona if it has to take a physical shot.
Yeah, we do see the Lash Out come out here, and it does burn the Tinglu, unfortunately. And Chen Pao kind of gets to come in here for free, but here comes the Ogerpon. You did allude to that it does pretty decently in this matchup. So now it's just Tinglu and Ogerpon versus the world. I mean, the good thing is you have options, right? You're a pretty decent spot. Struggle Bug will do a lot of damage, significant damage. Ivy Cudgel does go into Chen Pao, but unfortunately, a really good protect there. But now, Chen Pao is still just kind of here, and you're in a really tough spot because Miraidon is kind of unchecked. Chen Pao is unchecked. You don't have the speed advantage, and everybody's looking KOable at this point.
Yeah, Ogerpon does have the ability to redirect attacks from Tinglu, but the Electro Drift, it is able to survive, but combined with the Ice Spinner, interesting choice on this team in particular, since you have your own terrain that you're getting rid of there. But yeah, I would say the burn on Tinglu is actually going to be massive here, but at the end of the day, Tinglu in a 2v1, it's such a passive Pokemon, not able to get a super crazy amount of damage here in the face of Chen Pao. Yeah, these 2 Pokemon, even with the decreased special attack output from the Miraidon, able to just double target the Tinglu, and that puts it easily in burn range or just Electro Drift range from Mava's Miraidon here, as game 1 going to be going to Mava.
Yeah, and really well played on both sides. Just understanding, like, hey, I just need to make sure that Chen Pao stays healthy. And honestly, even though Volcarona didn't really get to do like all the things Volcarona does, it got the +1, and that's all they needed. It just needed to make sure you can get out of here and just take out the Calyrex, because that was the biggest thing. You need to get that off the board. And honestly, Tinglu was fantastic. Now, how do you keep Tinglu healthy and in this matchup for a longer period of time is kind of the problem, because once Volcarona hits the board, how do you get it off the field in time? Because you don't want to have to hit it and then you potentially get burned like we just saw. So maybe we might see a potential Cornerstone, and there's a Cornerstone lead, so that way you can put some more pressure if, we do decide to see Volcarona at any point of these Volt Switches.
Yeah, Astterio recognizing that Mava does want to put the pressure on Tinglu early so that Miraidon can kind of have a field day once it's off the field, potentially saving Tinglu for that end game position. Ogerpon going to be more of a supportive piece here, but Calyrex is going to go for a protect, as it does recognize the incoming Snarl here from the Miraidon. Ivy Cudgel going to be doing a good amount of damage, not quite a 2-hit KO here, so Miraidon going to live to see another day, going to be able to fire off another Snarl, lowering Calyrex's damage output. And now Ogerpon, with its Sturdy broken, is potentially in KO range of that Zamazenta. So Ogerpon going to have to potentially sacrifice itself in order for Calyrex to get something going here. This Calyrex, I do believe, has Encore, so it doesn't have the ability to set up and potentially negate the effects of the Snarl. So it's kind of a tough spot here for Astterio if you're staring down both of these 2 restricted Pokemon that are still threatening a ton of damage, as Dragonite actually going to be making an appearance in the set.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to see that there. We do see Ivy Cudgel come out, almost picking up the KO there. Dragonite will actually take a good amount of damage, and honestly, Ogerpon didn't expect it to be lasting this long, just because body press is something that you do have to worry about. But right now, not bad. We do have E-Speed. That is something you could go for here. I don't know if you want to let Ogerpon go down right now. I think you kind of need it later. So this is potentially a Spiky Shield or maybe even a swap here, but we do see a Follow Me instead. So opting to just take the KO, we take a Heavy Slam, you do go down, but Zamazenta still kind of sitting pretty. I mean, there is Calyrex in the back. As long as Snarl is gone, now you make a significant difference, because you can E-Speed and then potentially go for a, Astral Barrage, but we do see Chen Pao come in, which makes a world of a difference.
Yeah, with Dragonite being the pick here, you'd have to imagine that the last Pokemon for Astterio is potentially that Chen Pao, just to try and increase Dragon Knight's damage output, or potentially just relying on the opposing Chen Pao. But now locked into extreme speed, Dragon Knight is in a bit of a weird spot going up against the Zamazenta, as now Zamazenta can prohibit damage, to itself with the extreme speed just being so physically bulky, and then also having the wide guard as an option here to stop Calyrex from being able to do anything to Chen Pao, since its only other option is a psychic type attack into Chen Pao, and Chen Pao in a very, very good position here, threatening good damage to Calyrex, threatening a KO on Dragon Knight. This Chen Pao Zamazenta combination proving to be quite a good duo to have this late in the game, and even with the Terra Ghost, just insult to injury for this Dragon Knight, able to get the Ice Spinner KO onto the Dragon Knight, and just completely avoid damage entirely from that speed. And as predicted, the Chen Pao is the last Pokemon for Astterio, so looking pretty tough staring down this full health Zamazenta and Chen Pao.
Yeah, this has been almost a Chen Pao show. Chen Pao has been the kind of the pivotal mon in these end games each and every time. First it was for Mava for game 1, and now Astterio and Mava both brought for game 2. And Calyrex in a really tough spot here. There's wide guard and there's a Chen Pao, and I'm not even sure what the move of choice is. We do see the Terra Dragon come out, Sucker Punch goes up. We do see Encore, and Icy Wind comes out just to try to control the speeds as much as possible here. And we do see Body Press go into that Chen Pao, doing a ton of damage even with the Terra.
That was such a smart Icy Wind, because now not only do you get the speed advantage with your own Chen Pao, but you get the Sucker Punch speed advantage. So now you can Sucker Punch the opposing Ghost Chen Pao, and now that Zamazenta doesn't have the ability to click Wide Guard, it is susceptible to Astral Barrage. However, Zamazenta is still close to full HP, and even though if you Sucker Punch the Chen Pao, you do have a single target Astral Barrage into the Zamazenta, it's probably going to live the hit and able probably to just get a KO into this Chen Pao. And then Mava still has one more Pokemon in the back. If it's Incineroar, there's not really much it's going to be able to do into, this Calyrex Shadow is not going to really be able to do much into the Zamazenta, but Chen Pao just going to go for a Protect. That is a luxury that Mava's Chen Pao has, and unfortunately Asterio's Chen Pao does not have the ability to Protect. So Chen Pao going to be able to protect itself from the Sucker Punch. Zamazenta takes a good amount of damage there, but yeah, that just leaves one Pokemon left for Asterio's side, and it is facing down the threat of Sucker Punch plus Heavy Slam to close the game out. But I mean
the good thing is maybe you live and you get a +2 boost. It's a slight chance, but that's the only thing you really have. You're out too, because whatever's in the bag, unless it's Ensign, you should be okay. And we do see Volcarona, so opting not to, then there goes the Sash. So you guaranteed live. You get 1 boost, not 2. But the problem is, we know Zam can come back, and all of a sudden it's no longer Encore, and you can just go for the Wide Guard, and that is a potential issue. But even if a Wide Guard, what if you get 2 single attacks? Then it's just a lot to ask for here. It's a very weird turn here.
Yeah, it's kind of a mind game of whether or not the Zamazenta is going to click Wide Guard, because now with this +1 in special attack, Volcarona potentially finds itself in KO range of Astral Barrage. So if Zamazenta is going for Wide Guard here, you do have the ability to click Psychic into the Volcarona, but no, the Astral Barrage does come out there. Zamazenta catches it as Volcarona goes for Quiver Dance to, instead of just taking the KO outright, just wanting to set up itself to be faster than Calyrex, and with the speed advantage, Calyrex going to go down here. So that is going to be a dub for Mava.
Yeah, really well played there. That turns like that really suck, because you're just like, okay, they could go for it, but will they? And you have no choice. You have to just go, because you have to hope your opponent just thinks of outthinks themselves and they don't click it, and you potentially just like pick up the win here because you just do that much damage. But unfortunately, Mava just opting, you know what, this is safe. I know this is the play to make.
Yeah, very, very good stuff to Mava, as they will be moving on to top 4.